Because attitude has such an impact on our daily lives, it's important to give this topic some attention, and even further to be courageous to take some personal inventory of our attitude. And so, moving forward, one of the first things and biggest things I want to just cover and reflect on is that attitude is a choice. Circumstances change constantly, but our attitude is always there for the choosing. Many factors can play a part in influencing and shaping our attitude. It could be our upbringing, or it could be the things that are happening around us, the influences of people, our personality, or our life experiences. But always the biggest determining factor is how we choose to shape our attitude. Or maybe to put it this way, how we choose to perceive, interpret, and respond to life. And so the attitude that we choose, it plays a major part in the future that we create for ourselves. So first, we want to choose the kind of attitude that is conducive for success, for creating a beautiful picture, a beautiful future. And second, we want to actually avoid disempowering ourselves of that choice by allowing external factors to determine our attitude for us. So before I go any further, I just want to clarify that having a good attitude isn't about denying life's challenges, nor is it about willing good fortune into our lives through positive thinking. But rather, having a good attitude is about accepting the reality of the challenge, but not being defined or confined by that challenge. It's about the principle of sowing and reaping. We want to sow those seeds into our own growth and our own well-being, so then we can continue to invest in our family, in our workplace, and our community. And so John Maxwell says that our attitude determines our approach to life. And secondly, he says our attitude determines our relationship with people. If you remember from last year, I left you with a challenge to use this question below me that says, how can I? And to use that question as a way to cultivate a positive attitude. And so if you will think with me for a second, in light of the principle of sowing and reaping, we will see how this can impact our approach to life. You see, if we face adversity in life, we can say, how can I face this adversity? How can I turn this into an opportunity? How can I navigate, or how can I improve this situation? We're sowing into ourselves an attitude of possibility. And so we're going to approach that life situation with that sense of possibility. An attitude is so influential in our relationships. And simply put, our attitude can either attract people or it can repel people. In fact, some Stanford Research Institute says that the money that you make in any endeavor is determined by 12.5% of your knowledge, but 87.5% is determined by your ability to deal with people. And so if that is true, it's vital that our attitude about people and with people be an attitude that is conducive for that relationship building. And so when the attitude that we possess places others first, we see people as important. And then our perspective is suddenly going to reflect that value for others and also their viewpoint instead of just ours. And so we can ask the question, how can I add value? How can I show that I care? Because being positively focused on others, it does two things for our attitude. And first, it's an acknowledgement that reinforces a belief in ourselves as people who have something to offer and contribute. It reinforces that idea that you have something valuable to give. The second thing that having an attitude that's focused on others is that it lets others know we value them and that the relationship that you have with them is genuine. And that is so important because you and I are all acutely aware when someone is not being authentic or when they are being authentic. So before I finish up with one more way to cultivate an attitude that is conducive for success, I just want to simply provide a couple things to be on the watch for when doing some personal inventory. And that is to watch for watch for apathy and avoid apathy. You know what? The reality is there's things in life that we cannot control. And when those uncontrollables in our life, and when they result in things that are less than desirable, they're hard, they're difficult, it can be easy to slip into apathy. And in fact, I would say all of us ebb and flow in and out of apathy. But the challenge is not to stay in apathy for too long. Because I think that when we stay and linger in apathy for too long, it begins to breed in us cynicism, and that's an attitude that we want to avoid, because we want to have a positive attitude, and apathy is not the direction that we want to go in, and that is not the future that we want to create. Uh, lastly, cultivating the right attitude with gratitude. You know, it's really unfortunate that the attitude of gratitude has become a phrase that has been cliche, because oftentimes cliche phrases get ignored, and the truth and the reality of those things get missed. And so I just want to bring this to attention, because when we practice gratitude on a daily basis, it trains our mind to look for the positive. And eventually it rewires and helps us to see life from a different perspective. And the goal is not to deny the uphill challenges that we face, but rather the goal is to build resilience for those uphill challenges. You see, this has been a recent habit of mine that I've been doing over the last couple of months on a daily basis, and I'm beginning to see the influence that it's had on my attitude and on my perspective and outlook on life. It's not perfect. This isn't a silver bullet, but it certainly has helped. And so I offer it to you. And how I do it is simply a blank journal that I do at a certain part of my morning routine. I open it up and I write a few things down. It doesn't take me very long, probably a minute or 2 minutes. And you can do it however you like. But the key, I would say, is to do it on a daily basis. And so I just want to remind you that growth happens in small steps taken regularly in the direction of your vision. So don't neglect or belittle those small steps. Celebrate them, for they will take you further than you imagined possible.